If you were alive during the 90s, then you probably remember the influx of black comedy sketch shows, films, and sitcoms. These shows went on to boost the careers of many up-and-coming comedians and entertainers. But when Martin aired on Fox in 1992, it immediately became a network favorite, springboarding Martin Lawrence's career and making him a household name. Racking up 11 million viewers in its first season, our favorite couple goals. Note the quotes. Gina and Martin, along with Pam, Tommy, and company, would grace our TV screens every week. The show would go on for 5 seasons till its end in 1997. And fans of the show noticed how Gina didn't appear in any scenes with Martin during its last season. Speculations of cancellation being up to bat when it was discovered that the show's leading lady, TISHA CAMPBELL, filed a lawsuit against Martin during the show's latter years, claiming sexual and verbal abuse, as well as battery and harassment. According to the suit, TISHA had to be hospitalized due to the stress of it all. With the lawsuit being brought to the forefront, this of course left many fans of the show in disbelief. Many believe that the two were involved in an off-screen affair, while others seem to think the relationship off-screen was a one-sided love story, due to TISHA being engaged and later married to actor DUANE Martin in 1996. Rumors of DUANE instigating the lawsuit have also surfaced due to remarks stated in the lawsuit that TISHA says Martin would make about her then-husband while on set. It wouldn't be till the cast reunited for Thomas Ford's funeral in 2016, bringing TISHA and Martin back together after years without communication, and were later questioned about a Martin reboot, which has brought the lawsuit to the forefront yet again. With folks accusing TISHA of lying all those years ago, more info has resurfaced, making people rethink their oppositions about the entire situation. With all that being said, let's take a further look into the lawsuit that ended it all and why we may all owe TISHA CAMPBELL an apology. Before we knew them as Martin and Gina, we knew them as Ballard and Sydney when they both starred in the 1990 comedic film House Party, and a few years later as Yvonne and Tyler in the Eddie Murphy-starred comedy romance Boomerang. The two became friends during this time, and Martin vowed to TISHA that if he ever got his own show, or wherever his next starring role would be, that he'd want TISHA to play his on-screen girlfriend or wife, stating that her comedic timing was perfect. So when he had gotten the call that his show Martin had been greenlit and a pilot was in the works, he called TISHA right away, thrilled that her friend was getting his own show, yet discouraged because TISHA had already picked up a show of her own that had also been greenlit. On a mission to persuade TISHA, he told her that he was gonna stop by her place to discuss things further. And it was there that he had also come across Tichina Arnold. Surprised that TISHA and Tichina were already friends, he had asked Tichina to audition as well, to which she obliged. Martin's mission to persuade TISHA to drop her little show was a success, and the rest, as we already know, was history. Martin went on to become a household classic with quotes for days that'll have us laughing decades down the road. But although Martin and Gina's on-screen romance were couple goals for many, again note the quotes, when those cameras stopped rolling, it was a whole nother story. If you've watched any Martin bloopers, then you know on set can get pretty wild and fun, especially with so many comedic actors on board. But speculations of a real-life romance between TISHA and Martin were brewing, and fans loved every second of it. Despite it never being confirmed of an off-screen romance, you can't help but wonder if the rumors were in fact true, especially after seeing Martin's first wife, PATRICIA Southall. I mean, yeah, I'll let your imaginations run wild with that one. Things seemed fine on the surface, but during the show's 5th and final season, viewers noticed how TISHA wasn't in a single episode alongside Martin. Matter of fact, The only episode during that season where the two were seen semi-next to each other was the finale episode, where they were seen talking on the phone to each other via a split screen. Although the show ended in May of 1997, filming ended months prior, and it was reported that during filming, TISHA had walked off set never to return. It wasn't until the show's demise in 1997 that fans became weary and began to wonder what was really up. To our surprise, word on the street began to circulate, and a lawsuit claiming sexual harassment, battery, and abuse was filed against Martin in 1997 from TISHA herself and was ultimately exposed to the public. This, of course, left many of the show's loyal fan base upset and confused. We didn't really know what was in the actual lawsuit except for surface-level allegations. That is, until now. And to our surprise, the allegations go all the way back to Season 1. The lawsuit claims that during Season 1, Martin would routinely ask TISHA on dates, to which she'd constantly deny. During Season 2, the lawsuit states that Martin became increasingly manic and volatile, and would often go into uncontrollable rages for no rational reason, and threatened to fire staff and crew. In Season 3, TISHA claimed that Martin had abused and humiliated her on many different occasions. So much so that she had to be hospitalized due to ongoing stress. By Season 5, the suit claims that Martin was simply out of control, and despite TISHA's plea to the show's writers of not writing scenes where Gina and Martin shared the bed, they'd continue to do so. Reports of Martin routinely groping and using tongue during his kiss scenes with TISHA against her wishes were also in the suit. It wasn't until Martin had his most hysterical outburst to date, when he confronted a cast member with such rage making TISHA terrified and concerned for her own safety. This is when she told show producers that she'd be leaving for good with no hopes of returning. Although the lawsuit seemed to have been an ambush, it was in fact a countersuit from a lawsuit HBO had filed against TISHA beforehand that sought to get her to return to the show while pending a union arbitration hearing for her harassment charges. When all of this came to light, Martin's publicist made a statement denying all allegations, stating, "Martin has long been TISHA's champion and protector, and is thus deeply hurt by these allegations. There is no merit to the lawsuit, and it will be vigorously defended." Martin later accused TISHA of lying for the sole purpose of wanting a better contract on the show. Sides were immediately taken, with the vast majority seeming to take Martin's. But here is why people are switching sides and hiding in the bushes. Over the years, people began putting two and two together, with reports of Martin's not-so-glamorized incidents being brought up. In 1995, it was reported while on the scene of his movie, A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, Martin lashed out and had to be hospitalized. And in 1996, he had punched someone at a nightclub. In that same year, he had run out into an intersection, mucus plastering his face, while stopping cars and screaming, "Fight the power," claiming that they were out to get him. Again, I'ma let your imaginations run wild with that one. He was eventually held down by police and hospitalized. According to the police report, they say that he had failed to take his prescribed meds and had suffered a seizure. But Martin's publicist claims that the incident was due to complete exhaustion and dehydration. On top of these came reports of Martin's violent nature toward his first wife, Patricia, who had filed a restraining order against him. The restraining order states that Martin had shown violent and abusive behavior toward her and in front of their daughter, Jasmine. According to Patricia, she didn't trust Martin alone with their daughter. One incident in particular, allegedly, involved Martin slipping a note under Patricia's hotel door that read, "If I can't have you, then nobody will. Come home now, or I'll do what I have to do." During his 1994 stand-up special, You So Crazy, Martin briefly discusses how the stand-up is based on his own life experiences. Do with that as you will. Reginald Ballard, aka the guy who played Brumman on the show, did an interview where he talked about the tension on set between Martin and TISHA. He said that not only could TISHA and Martin not be in the same room, but they couldn't even be on the same lot at the same time. He couldn't go into further detail since he wasn't a recurring cast member. But overall, the vibe on set between the two leads during his time on the show just wasn't a good one. Fans also have pointed the finger at Tisha's husband DUANE Martin, who she got married to during the series in 1996. Also in the lawsuit, it was stated the tension on set was evident due to claims of Martin making negative comments about DUANE, making Tisha uneasy. He'd say to her that DUANE was too soft, and other slick remarks, prompting people to assume that DUANE had initiated the counter-lawsuit. But no actual evidence of DUANE's involvement in the case has been brought to the surface. Ultimately, Tisha's lawsuit was settled out of court, and the two would be off talking terms for over a decade, until castmate Thomas Ford, who played Tommy on the show, suddenly passed away in 2016, bringing Martin, Tisha, and the rest of the Martin cast back together again at his funeral. The two reunited in 2018 when TMZ cameras caught up with them along with Tichina Arnold and were asked about a potential Martin reboot. This, of course, thrilled fans, but this also reignited talks of the lawsuit. During a press run for the latest Bad Boys movie, Martin was asked if the lawsuit was the reason for Martin's cancellation, to which he hesitated at first, but confessed, saying that it was just time to end the show, but overall still denied all of Tisha's allegations, stating, "We don't need to talk about something that just didn't happen." When Tisha heard about this, she said she couldn't go into detail due to a confidentiality agreement, but was shocked at Martin's comment. She later called him and he told her not to read into it too much, and that people were trying to bring up the past, ending the phone call with, "You know, T, we're good. I love you and I love your family." Tisha later revealed that her and Martin have been out to lunch over the years and have had very healing conversations. Like I've been saying throughout this video, y'all can take that as you will. Do you think the public owes Tisha Campbell an apology? Let us know what you think in the comments section down below. And stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.